How long has this association been?
2 years now.
And you've not gotten any recognition or any support from
Which
government?
Which is fine. I was elected in 2020, and I was the first woman ever to lead an association like that in Nigeria.
Interesting. Yeah. Great job you're doing.
So when it comes to the value chain, let's talk about the value. What are the bottlenecks, especially when it comes to...
I think the first bottleneck, like I said, the government rule, there's no policy. So and when there's no policy, what that means that everything is up in the air. Currently, 95% of more what we drink as a country is imported. So what that means is all the 20 states that are growing coffee is just going to waste. So government has to put policy in place. Private sector, if the private sector doesn't push funding and resources, financial resources behind any sector, then there's not going to be a lot of traction. I remember somebody called me once and said they wanted 20 tons of Nigerian coffee. And I asked him, I said, what have you invested in the industry that would allow you to benefit 20 tons of coffee? It's not possible. For the past 22 decades, there hasn't been any significant investment in that industry.
So when you talked about, because we don't have government policy that would really encourage local production, and of course, that makes you fall to importations. Are you saying now that people do not take local coffee when you say local coffees when produced?
The numbers are very insignificant. I will use the numbers are very low. If you walked into a shop now, all the coffee that you see will be imported. So that means that even us who have been clamoring for the past 8 years, we've only sourced coffee from Taraba and Osun State. We only source our coffee locally. But how much can we do if we don't get the right investment?
Let's talk about breaking the culture of silence, especially for women. That's one of the major hurdles that women have to cross. And thank God for women like you who are, breaking that limit and ensuring that women have a voice. How do you think, what more do you think can be done in that regard? For instance, when it comes to healthcare, assessing healthcare, education, just today UNICEF released a report saying that the number of malnourished children and women in Nigeria has increased, and of course we need a voice to speak up in those regards. You are speaking up in your own way, but we need more voices. How can we encourage this?
I think that first, the women who are in position to help should help genuinely. I don't think help, for example,
there's that notion that women do not actually support women. Is it true?
No, it's not true. I stand on the shoulder of many women who have opened significant doors for me. So I'm not going to sit down here and lie and say, oh, women don't. It's not true. I'm in a community of very strong women. Last year, we had a community of 100 women who were selected across Africa. And I've gotten businesses from there, women calling me from Kenya. I have friends from South Africa today. Because of this program, women already see the role. But however, there's more that needs to be done. Representation is key. For example, in government, if we don't have more women, I went to Rwanda the other day and over 56% of their parliament are women. And when you put women in very significant position, the beautiful thing about women is when we think of policy, we're not just thinking of me. I'm thinking of how does this affect my children? How does this affect my community? You need to put more women in government. We are hoping that the new government or administration will see the significant reason to put women in very key, and most of the bank MDs in Rwanda are women. So, and you see how fast I'm not saying that men are not doing their work, but the truth is women think about family, we think about community. We need to see much more women in roles other than being homemakers. We need to see women in the forefront, making decisions for the country and for ourselves.
And to start with, we've not even fulfilled the 35%. Parts representation when it comes to women in the National Assembly. The last National Assembly, I think, had about 6 women. And that's the Senate, I think. So it's looking like a long road to freedom when it comes to all of this, and some of the legislations that are supposed to be passed to ensure this are still pending. For instance, the gender equality bill, and you have a lot of arguments against it, saying that if women are allowed to fulfill or to attain some certain roles, they might abuse it. What do you make of that?
Obviously, That's the most preposterous thing I've ever heard. Our mothers, we're here because our mothers fought for whatever it's our freedom, even at home. We see how women are strong in the home. A lot of us who are business owners today were wives, we're mothers, we're running companies, we're building infrastructure. We're saying that because a woman would attain a certain position. I've been in the industry for ages. Have I misused my opportunity or platform? No. The truth of the matter is we have to be genuine about the true state of our nation and how women can be included, because you cannot grow any society without women representation, because it's about perception, it's also about reality, and it's also about the way how it will come to me, it's different from how it will come to Mr. Josh. So you have to look at things that way, that those notions are not true. We have seen societies, some of the societies that did the best during COVID were women-led countries, like Australia, New Zealand, Germany. You see women leading countries. The youngest prime minister is from Finland. She's 39 and she's leading a great country. So saying that women cannot do it, I think that it's not proper. It's not fair. But I also understand the role of culture, and because we're culturally diverse and religion and all of that, I see where that is where that plays from. But let women move up the ladder.
So in all of this, how do you strike a balance? Of course, in the family, and of course in the secular world, where you understand your place in the family, so that the men somehow do not think that you're trying to take away their job or take away their position in the family.
You know, it's a really, actually, so I've lived on two continents. I lived in America and I lived in Nigeria. Okay. Nigeria is very diverse. There are lots of cultural biases when it comes to women. Even when we speak up, I see those biases and those balance. It's a tough one, and that's the truth. But however, it's doable, and it's doable from the home. How you raise your children, it's very key. When you tell your daughter to keep quiet because your son is talking, or you say, I have a son.
And you tell the daughter to cook and
yes, and tell the boy. I mean, I'm raising a son. I always joke about it. I don't want my son to grow up and my daughter-in-law is giving me issues because she's telling me, oh, you didn't do a good job raising your son. I'm raising him first to be very kind. Those are the things that we can start. Even I'm speaking to women, start implementing those decisions from, you know, we already grown up. So as you're nurturing the society, when you're speaking to people, when you begin to sow those seeds that women can do this, a woman can wash a car. I mean, I can wash my car. A boy can cook. When we begin to, those roles are being taught properly, then we'll see some changes. But on our own level, we have to see representation. It's a little different ball game. First, women must meet that quota. Let's see more women in government. Let's see more women running as vice presidents. Let's see more women running as governors. Let's see more women just actively doing that, and let's see more men supporting women to do those things.
You know, I like that caveat you put into it, because we're going into the elections now, March 11th, and it's been said that about 25 women are contesting for different positions, or rather for the governorship position in different states. But we know that we've never had any female governor in Nigeria, and most times, even when I don't know if you know about Chichi Oje, the APM presidential candidate who eventually had a chairman. The chairman of the party supported another party, and then, you know, it was more like all hopes were lost. So it's looking like things are tending towards that new new realm or new tenure where you would see more women in government. But do you think that Nigeria, the kind of culture we have, the kind of mentality that we have, do you think that we're ready to see more women in power, in positions of authority?
Yes, I think we are. Having lived back in Nigeria for 15 years, things have changed. Women have more stronger. I mean, most of our bank MDs today are women, from Access Bank to Fidelity.
Did you say most?
It's not all. No,
When
many.
most, it means
So it's more than
a
50. A larger percentage. I mean, access. There are a lot of banks now who, when you look around, their heads of MDs are women. We have never seen that happen. If you look at other organizations, we see women taking front row seats. I was in a meeting once, a political meeting once, and a gentleman came who was a sitting senator who said, "Can women make? Can we have meetings at night?" I heard they meet at night. And I said, we already pray all night anyway. We can as well just stay all night making decisions as well. There is a mindset shift that must be significant. And like I said, if we don't see those representations, if men don't see a woman becoming a VP, for example, or even running to be the VP, I was hoping one party would just put a woman there to run for VP. It shows that it's possible. Even if they didn't win, it shows the possibility. And that's why I talk about representation. Until we begin to see women shift in where they're being positioned, then we will just be talking this. And the men know, they know.
On a lighter note,
yes,
looking at your position as the president,
yes,
in your particular field, do you think of vying for such positions in the future?
Absolutely. Anybody who knows me from when I was knee-high, I moved to Nigeria back on a one-way ticket because I truly believe in this nation.
So what are you doing in that regard?
I'm building my business. I once heard a wise man say that if you cannot build a successful business, you cannot run a nation. So I am doing this. I'm building a Happy Coffee model to show myself the possibility. When that time comes, when I run for office, you will all remember this day and you will vote. Because then the climb would have been different. We are seeing that even in our political scene, that things have, that shift. It might not be in their mind, it's not significant, but there is a super shift. Yeah. When that time comes, it will no longer be that it's a woman that is running. It will be that it is a Nigerian who wants the betterment of everybody, and those votes will count then.
But in the end, if you look at it, sometimes it is even women who actually talk down against the women who contest, because I remember, Sarah Jibril, who contested back then in 2011. We've had, Shonaya, Remy Shonaya, who also contested.
Yes.
Many of those women did not get more than 1-2 votes.
Yes.
And the question is, where were the other women? Why did they gather around to support and give their votes to them so that they could also be seen?
So you have to look at when you are voting and all of that. It goes beyond bias. I can't just vote you because you're a woman. I need to vote you because of your credibility and your record. If I don't see your record, I'm not, for example, for myself, I'm not biased. It's record. So, and a lot of women are not thought otherwise. So it depends on how we have also been, I'm looking for the word, socialized.
Okay.
Is how we've been socialized. So we go up, we look at who is on social media, who is looking fine, who is not fine. We put our thumbprint there. There has to be voter education also. And more women need to do more about putting themselves out there in showing credibility. I can't just go and run for an office and not have town hall meetings. In America, one of the biggest voting pool is the Republican white women. It's always been that way. So if you want to win... But even
the America had a lot of biases. When we saw Hillary Clinton vying for office.
Yes.
But that's a developed democracy.
Yeah, because remember, she's Democrat. These are Republican women. Because these are the... they have data. They know the women who vote, who go out and vote. And most of them are Republican white women. Hillary is Democrat. And the other issues that we're angry about her, we don't need to talk about. But what I'm saying is, women need to see themselves as a block vote. And when a woman comes out to also represent us, let's say a woman is coming out to represent, she has to do, unfortunately in our society, she has to do more. Like what I'm doing right now, I have to do double the work. So when women are sleeping at night, I'm reading every day. I'm up at 1 a.m. reading about industries, coffee, how we can build. So in our own society, a woman has to do double the effort to be able to get the recognition she needs.
But what do you have to say about the fact that many political parties make their nomination forms cheaper for women, or even do not sell the forms to them at all? Isn't that patronizing, or there's a word I'm looking for? Shouldn't they be? If you're saying equal rights, shouldn't you have to pay the same price and vie for the office the same way the men do? Because when you begin to cheapen the process that way. You're already telling the woman, well, we know you wouldn't win, or we really do not have so much faith in you, so we'll just make it easy for you so that you don't see.
You see, it's a societal and a cultural thing. I don't see it as being, and that's why I said women must build tables. And one of the tables that I tell women in my own community and ecosystem is we need to make our own wealth. Look, I want to be, in the next 5 years, a girl wants to run or a woman wants to run, I want to cut her a check. Look, all these things that we're talking is when women build wealth also, it will make it easy for us to support one another. If I don't have money to help you buy tickets, and that is why we must liberate our women financially, so that when the time comes, when I'm running for office eventually in the future, my friends are going to be cutting me checks of, babe, just take $500,000, take this $1 million to go and run your campaign. That is how men run their campaign.
Yeah, but do you believe that it should be made cheaper, or it should be made easier for women?
No, it shouldn't. I think that's where the equality, because when you do that, then you are patronizing, and we don't need that. We know what to do, and I said we are building our own table, and that's why we are here. And a couple of years from now, when you want to run for office, we'll cut you a check, babe. You don't have to worry about it. You know, you can have, whether it's a man or woman. But I see that women need more help, and those decisions have to be. I'm hoping that the new administration will begin to put policies and frameworks in place to allow women to have the same opportunity to prove themselves in those positions that can transform community.
Well, I hope we will see more of that in this elections, because in Adamawa State, we had the Labour Party candidate stepping down for a woman. The APC candidate in Adamawa State is a woman, Aisha, she's called Benani, that's her nickname. And so she's someone who already has built a track record, winning people like the former EFCC chairman, Ribadu, and, you know, breaking the odds and all of that. So it's looking like things are gradually changing, and we hope that it will be seen to a very successful end.
Absolutely.
But finally, on the final note, I'd like to know what your vision for Happy Coffee is, especially when it comes to building that strong front and creating an enabling environment, making policies that would enable that coffee industry in Nigeria.
One of my dreams is one day when I go to New York, I want to see Happy Coffee there. When I go to Paris, anywhere in Africa, it's very important for us to know that Nigerians and Africans can build formidable brands. One of the representation that we have not had in our industry is African brands that are transiting and breaking those barriers. In 2018, we got an article written by an American business or article company, Financial Times, and it's called us, Happy Coffee, the copycats of Starbucks. And people were angry, but for me, it showed something. Until we're able to represent Africa during experiences. So what do I mean by that? When you think of Africa, when you think of coffee in the world, all you think of Africa is, oh, Africa has coffee. They never say Africa has coffee businesses or coffee brands. As a matter of fact, if you Google coffee brands, it's only raw material. We need to transit from just creating raw material pathways for Africa, but creating experiences where we are all represent. I mean, look at African and Nigerian music. We have broken barriers. We want to see African brands break those barriers, where we're able to put Happy Coffee in Russia. We're able to put Happy Coffee in Iran. I mean, we get calls from across the world now saying, oh, we want Nigerian coffee. That's what we want. We want Nigeria to be represented in a strong way, that we're able to also impact culture, impact people's lives, and build the Africa that we want, not just the Africa of raw material.
Very interesting conversations with you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Princess Adeyinka Tekena, Chief Happiness Officer at Happy Coffee.
Yes.
Very good to have you on the show this morning, and happy International Women's Day.
Thank you so much.
Have a fantastic day. All right, we'll take a break now. When we come back, it will be time to wrap up the show. Stay with us.